Afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, March 9th, 2022 Watertown Board of Adjustment. Brandy, can we get a roll call?
Yes. Dolly.
Here.
Ford.
Here.
Kays. Here. Hanson.
Here.
Oletsky. Present. Dargis Johnson. Here. Culhane.
Here.
Spire.
Here.
And Jeff Brink is absent. We have a quorum. We actually have an additional member, but Spire will not be voting for a majority of the items, but he will be on standby in case.
All right, thank you, Brandy. I'll move on to item 3 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 24th, 2022 meeting. I'll need a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
A motion, do I have a second?
Second, Culhane.
Thank you. Any additional discussion on those? We'll take a vote on that.
All right, Dolly.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Kays.
Aye.
Hanson.
Yes.
Oletsky.
Yes.
Dargis Johnson.
Yes.
Culhane.
Aye.
That motion carries. I'll move on to the regular agenda, item 4A, which is a conditional use request for a home occupation.
Yes, and so Culhane is recusing himself for this item, so Spire will be a part of the discussion and the vote on this item. So this is a conditional use request for the owner, Christine Bars. The property address is 4406 11th Avenue Northwest, and this is within the zoning designation of a PUD in the Compesca Meadows edition. And I have that pulled up here on the map, and hopefully everyone on Teams can see that. And so the home occupation request here is for an in-home hair salon. There won't be any addition created. It'll be using, well, if this map loads, there we go. It'll just be using the existing space of the house, and then with the home occupation, there are 9 requirements that have to be met, and one is that there is separate entrance, which the owner is able to make happen. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Did you, do we send notices to adjoining property owners? Did anybody respond?
None that I received, but we did send the adjacent landowner letters to the properties within 250 feet, and then also they, the applicant posted a sign in their yard too for more public notice.
Did the applicant suggest or state how many clients they may have on site at any particular time?
And I don't know if the applicant is here. It doesn't appear so unless they are online, but
Yeah.
Christine, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and if Dolly, if you want to open the public hearing.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. I believe Mr. Case has a question for the applicant.
I was just curious, did you have any idea how many clients you'd be seeing on any given time?
There would only be 1 to 2 people there at a time, one coming, one going. If they overlapped, that would be the only time there'd be 2 there.
And then are your business hours going to be just during the week? Are they 7 days a week?
No, it's just Monday through Thursday. Most days I start at 8:30, and the latest I would ever be there is 8 o'clock at night.
Thank you.
I see in the letter acknowledgement of the review items, including ingress, egress, signage, outside storage. No issues in complying with those?
No.
Any additional questions from the board for the applicant? I do have the public hearing open. Is there anybody else to speak on behalf or against this issue today? Anybody online or in the room there?
It doesn't appear so.
With that, I'll close the public hearing. Any additional discussion from the board? I think this is one of the more common home occupations that we've seen over the years, most common being daycares, but we have seen a number of home occupations for hair salon. This does not seem much different from the others that we've seen in the past.
Mr. Chair, Kays, I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Kays. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second. Any additional discussion from the board before we take a vote on this? All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
All right. Spire,
Yes.
Jaggers Johnson,
Yes.
Aletsky,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kays,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Dolly.
Yes. That motion carries. That conditional use passes. Moving on to item 4B on the agenda. This is board consideration for a variance request of the 10-foot transitional yard in the Gateway Overlay District. Randy?
Thank you, Blake. And just for the record, Culhane will be acting on this item and Spire will be on his standby status again.
Thank you, Randy.
This is a variance request for the property located on the corner of 26th Street Southeast and 8th Avenue Southeast in the East Park Second Edition. For a little better context, let me turn off the zoning because that gets a bit busy. So this property here, north of Highway 212 and south of Willow Creek Drive. And the request is for a 5-foot transitional yard versus the ordinance requirement of 10 foot. And this is because it's within the Gateway Overlay District. The underlying district is also C3 highway commercial. They plan to develop this property with commercial suites for salon suites. And with their site plan that they submitted, and I'll pull that up, you can see with having the corner lot and the setbacks for the building, the two setbacks, which are 40 feet for the front and then 20 feet on the side. Yep. Yeah, so you can see here 26th and 8th, this is the corner. So they plan on orienting the buildings so that they are fronting 26th, but then with parking requirements, that transitional yard eats up a lot of space there on the north and east property lines. This was something that we have seen applications for previously. One was for Tidal Wave Car Wash, which was located on, I believe, this lot here. And then one was for Holiday Inn Express, that we did reduce the transitional yard from 10 to 5 feet. This was also something that prompted the ordinance amendment to the Gateway Overlay District, which we brought forward some ideas. That's just on hold right now, but it is something that staff and through board discussion that we wanted to see reduced in that aspect when there are two commercial properties abutting each other. So that is why I guess this application is before you today. That ordinance amendment isn't complete, and they are hoping to proceed or progress with their project. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Brandy, just from my recollection, when we were talking about making a proposed change to the ordinance, which we know is still in a state of flux, we were talking about applying that to the smaller lots in the Gateway, not our large-scale Hobby Lobby size type of a lot, but we were talking it to be more of a smaller lot, correct?
And that was discussed for lots less than 40,000 square feet, but that was actually we were going to keep the transitional yard consistent when there were two commercial properties abutting each other at 5 feet each, because then together you would still have a 10-foot grassed buffer. And then that creates not having parking lots, just sea of concrete parking lots or asphalt, whatnot. But that's really the idea behind the transitional yard, and just for drainage and just breaking up those with some green spaces. The less than 40,000 square feet came in when we were talking about the percentage of the front yard that could be used for parking.
Okay, thank you.
Which, since then, I think we are going to end up scratching that idea. We found a different solution, hopefully. And we will probably look at bringing that ordinance amendment forward again early summer. Right now, it's just, projects are taking precedence, so.
Thank you, Brandy. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on this item if there's anybody here to speak on behalf or against.
All right, I'm Shelley Pieper, and that's our plan that we have planned on putting there.
Shelley, did you guys look at any other designs, site designs that would be able to make you meet the 10-foot on the north and east sides, or was it just too difficult in your other look when you were looking at that?
Well, another dilemma that we have is this is going to be salon suites, the larger building. So we need, according to the city, so many spots per unit, per stylist. And to meet that, we need about this many parking spots.
And Brandy, I know there's been some discussions on parking in the city and looking at different parking type requirements. Heath, I know there's been some conversations. If we would be looking at amending parking requirements down the road, would that reduce or increase the number of parking spots that we would see as far as your preliminary?
And actually, the parking chapter 2160 that ordinance was adopted by council on February 10th. So we've seen that come through, and we actually overall minimized it. I mean, just so it was the minimum parking requirements.
So this, I mean, we're not going to get less parking spots than what we're looking at right now.
No, with that ordinance amendment being far, where it was and far enough along, this site plan would be meeting what the new ordinance amendment is.
Thank you.
Shelley, is there a reason there's two buildings instead of one? Because if we just had one, you could put the 5 feet back on either side.
And it's not so much of the space there. What I want to do is get more of a Minneapolis look. What I want is like a little courtyard between, where when you go to larger cities, even Sioux Falls, you see where they have courtyards. So I don't know if it necessarily will be green space, but little tables, the first building is still, I don't know who's going to occupy that. I'd love to see somebody want to put a coffee shop. Then that way you could have seating in between. Just more for a different look. Just trying instead of one big long building that's just going to break it up.
And Heath, the corridors for driving around the buildings, those are adequate widths for those driving lanes on the east side and on the north side?
Yeah, they appear to be, Commissioner Kay's, just a cursory review here. I don't know as though we've gotten to a full DRT on this yet, have we, Brandy? No. So we would definitely dive into those details through the DRT, the design review team review of the site. But in relation to, how that 5-foot buffer impacts those drive lanes, whether there's room for compression there or not, I guess I couldn't say off the cuff here, but.
Thank you.
And they're showing 14.5 feet for those drive lanes currently.
And the size of those parking spaces, it looks like we're at, 9 by 18 18 and a half.
Yep.
Is that in accordance with the ordinance?
Yes.
Is 5 feet an adequate amount of room for snow storage on the north and east sides of the lot?
That is, so if snow storage would be, that would be, you know, their concern. With the length of the lot, I would think so. You know, with the boulevards, we typically have 8 feet. But there would be a long linear stretch there where if they had issues with private snow removal, they would have to, you know, find another location that they weren't, you know, it wasn't overflowing onto or overpiling onto the neighbor's property.
Thank you.
And we would remove, we have that with another commercial building that we have removed because parking is limited there. So if we have to remove it, we could.
On your 81 Salon building, that one? That looks really nice. Just to let you know.
Well, this one will be a little different, but kind of a similar concept. Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm going for the courtyard between, just something a little different and
No floodplain in this
yes,
area.
no floodplain here to deal with. A lot less headaches.
Are the islands there in the parking lot adjacent to the corners of the buildings, are those green space as well?
Yes, and that is meeting the interior landscape requirement per the Gateway Overlay District.
Are there tree plantings going to be associated with this as well?
Yep, and we'll get to that level of detail, you know, once they can finalize their site plan.
Any additional questions for the applicant? I do have the public hearing open. I'd like to give the opportunity if anybody else is here to speak on behalf or against this item today. Anybody there in the room, Randy?
Nope, it doesn't appear that there's anybody
All right, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. We don't have anybody online either.
that wants to speak on this item, I should say. There are people here.
Understood. So the public hearing is closed at this point. We'll need action from the board to move this forward.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A motion by Bonnie. Do I have a second?
Second case.
Any additional discussion on this item?
I'm just, for the record, just to note that I will be supporting the variance request based upon previous items that we've acted on similarly in the past, and with the hope that we will be changing the ordinance this summer so we don't have to see these requests again in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Kays. I concur. It's materially similar to the other variances that have been granted for this specific exemption. Any additional comments before we take a vote?
Yes, this is Ford.
Yes, Ms. Ford.
Notwithstanding the fact that we've had other applications, there was a reason initially that the 10-foot greenway space was put in, and by combining the two buildings into one building would give us 10-foot greenway space on those short sides, and that wouldn't deprive the applicant of reasonable use or beneficial use of this land. I'm just looking at the criteria, and I guess, and I feel like combining the two buildings into one building would still give them reasonable use of the land and provide the green space that's, we've talked about in the past, is so important along this particular part of our city.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Any additional comments from the board? All right, Brandy, we'll take a roll call vote.
Okay, Dolly,
Aye.
Ford,
No.
Kays,
Aye.
Hanson,
Yes.
Aletsky,
Yes.
Dargis Johnson,
Yes.
Colhane.
Yes.
Okay, 6 yes, 1 no. That motion will carry. We'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, with open public comments. Is there somebody here to speak on an item that wasn't on the agenda for the Board of Adjustment?
No. Nobody
Moving
signed
on
up.
to item 6 is new business.
None that I have.
Any from the board? Moving on to old business.
Again, none that I have.
Any from the board? All right, then we'll take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll take a vote.
All right. Colhane.
Yes.
Dargis Johnson,
Yes.
Aletsky,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kays,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Dolly.
Yes, we are adjourned and we'll reconvene here momentarily.